Kiki ma. Welcome to Masters of Horror, a cult film showdown side project. I am Jim Cotta, hosting today, and I am joined by the fabulous Nick Boxer.
I'm eating cheese.
Currently?
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Who eats on a
And-
podcast?
Well, it's not crunchy, so I mean that's good.
I'm done now.
What
Suffering from a little bit of premature podcasting.
kind of cheese are you having today?
Oh, cheddar.
Oh, just
Old
like
cheddar.
a
Because I do not
regular.
understand why you would not get the extra old if it's the same price.
Oh yeah, extra old cheddar. I love that. Love it.
A lot
Also,
of people buy like cheeses without flavor, and it just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
I don't know who they're for. People who like to be bound up but not have enjoyed the process. We're joined by.
Are you
Jolly
sure about
Jack
this
Hall.
next part that we're joined by Jack Hall?
Adjacent to us is Jack Hall.
Yeah. Hey, I have nothing else to say after that start of the episode. I mean, how do you follow that?
Well, I mean, if you had a nice cheese platter happening, in a nice combo setup.
Oh, I
Platter,
do, but
wish I can afford to shop at IKEA.
don't get me wrong, I do. The problem is I just had my thyroid pill and I can't eat for an hour.
Oh yeah, that is a good mix though. Um, yeah, some probiotics and cheese. That's also a good mix.
Oh yeah.
Set those out on a platter. Because you get to enjoy it, but also like not like think about it for several days, um, because business has slowed down. All right, Masters of Horror was a TV series
Are
that
you
ran
sure?
from 2000.
Are you sure we're doing?
It's about the journey, not the destination. We are doing Masters of Horror. This was a series that ran 2005 to 2007 and brought together some of the greatest names in horror, both behind the camera, in front of the camera, and adjacent to the camera. Often many of these were written by famous horror writers. We've seen some well-known faces of horror, and we're traveling through these. Thank you for joining us along the way, and we are on season 1, episode 9, which is The Fair-Haired Child. Now, Jack, tell us who our masters are today.
Well, it's written by Matt Greenberg. Um, this guy, I mean, Halloween H2O, the pretty decent film. And that would have been his major credit at the time.
Okay.
He's still working. He's still working in horror. The 2019 Pet Cemetery film, he wrote that.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, he doesn't have a whole ton of credits, but what he does have is largely in the horror genre. And I mean, again, like I say, pretty. uh, I mean, he had a script writing credit on, or he didn't have a credit, but he did do rewrites on the excellent film Mimic, which is a tremendous
Oh
horror
yeah.
film.
I think
watched that
everyone in
recently.
Hollywood, though, has a credit on that one.
Excuse me. He does have his misses. Children of the Corn 3, The Prophecy 2, The Crow Salvation. But I mean, again, at least he's largely into the horror genre. As is the director. Now, this is the first director we've come across who I'm not overly familiar with. I really don't know him at all and had to look him up. William Malone. But he has worked exclusively again in horror. I don't know if you'd call him a master of horror. I don't think he has the name recognition. But I mean, House on Haunted Hill, Creature, Scared to Death, Fear.com. All horror films. He doesn't again have a ton of credits. He hasn't done anything in many years. But I mean, the House on Haunted Hill, the 1999 remake with Famke Johnson and Jeffrey Rush, that was quite a bit of fun. So that would have been again his major credit, and it's it's interesting actually to have I think an episode where the creators aren't maybe as well known, because instead of judging the creator, you're judging the episode.
That's true. And about the episode, Nick, you want to tell us what happens in The Fair-Haired Child?
Alrighty, our protagonist is a teenage girl, all angsty, and you can sort of tell she's just maybe abused, or she definitely isn't bullied at school, but all of a sudden she's kidnapped by some weirdos who we immediately find out, or almost immediately find out, are planning to sacrifice her to resurrect their child. One of the weirdos is played by Lori Petty, which is always entertaining. They lock her in what seems like the world's largest basement with their dead son, who is sort of partially alive because of magic. And, well, I'd like to say hilarity ensues, but that's probably the wrong term. But it plays out just like you'd think it was. A little demon creeps out of the walls, and yeah, it's a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I thought
Most of it does happen in that really large basement, though.
I mean, I think the twist at the end you can see coming, but I actually think that as an episode, I quite enjoyed this one. The creature, I mean, despite the very limited special effects budget and such that this have, in some ways,
That
I think
shutter effect they use on him is very effective.
yeah, I think in some ways the lack of budget and the lack of actually helped make that creature creepier, because I thought they did it was really a pretty damn good job with it.
Yeah, I was confused for a bit that the creature was him, like that he transformed into the creature, but it's yeah, it's a simple effect, but it's still one you see a lot in films. That it's basically Nick might know this better than I, but you're dropping frames, right, to give it that herky jerky look.
I think it's dropping and then speeding up the film that creates that effect.
Okay. So it's a sudden movement, but then there's a tiny jump cut in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But it is like it just, and then the music, like the sound design of it is
which also seems to always accompany that. When you use that effect, you have to use that same sound effect.
it just comes with the filter when you load it into Premiere.
But you put that sound effect in with the music that they chose, and because music is obviously plays a major role in this, both storyline wise and in the construction of the episode. Yeah, I mean, I again, I thought that was very effective, the way they did it.
Yeah, I also enjoyed this one. It was it is, I mean, it's pretty telegraphed. There's big twists in it. But just curious, if I say Lori Petty, what's the first movie that comes to your mind?
Either Tank Girl or The League of Their Own. I'd say Tank Girl probably for me.
Yeah, Tank Girl, definitely. I forgot she was in League of Their Own.
I think that's her biggest credit is A League of Their Own, but Tank Girl for me, I mean, I immediately go to the cult film.
Yeah, Tank Girl.
Her interview on the DVD is absolutely hilarious. They just are, so how did you come to this project? And she's just like, yeah, they offered me money and there was no nudity, so I just signed up.
They had money and full catering, so I was in.
I didn't mind flying to Vancouver. You could tell she hadn't seen anything from it.
That's awesome.
I love it. I know I think that definitely gives our listeners an idea of where we are as viewers, because I'm sure that for a lot of people, Point Break would be the
Really?
the go-to, and
She was in Point Break, you say?
she was indeed.
Huh. And
I
I don't
forgot
think
she
I
was in
recall
Point
seeing that
Break.
film. I never seen that film.
She's hot in Point Break.
She is, and she did that right around the same time as those other two films, like within a couple of years, basically. Um,
Yeah, it wasn't until her sitcom that everyone just sort of, oh, Lori Betty. She was
had
a
a
rising
sitcom?
star. Yeah, it lasted like an episode and a half. It was one of those that just boop.
Yeah, it was. I remember it coming, and I remember it going, because I think it was the same day. But yeah, that was kind of her top time, and then she's continued to be a working actress. She just did a series called Station 11 that was really well received. She was supporting in that. And what else can we say about this bad boy? It's creepy. It's a lot of it's in a basement.
It would have been
plot,
a
I
great
think
like Warren Magazine 8-pager. Solid, but you're not. It's not going to blow your mind. It's just you're going to read it quickly and go, yeah, I enjoyed that.
No, I mean, I think as a concept, as a show concept, I mean, as an episode, I mean, like I say, that you see the twist coming and everything, but I mean, like as soon as it opened, I went, "Oh, there's magic in this one. We haven't had anything with witches," you know, like that's one of the few genres.
Except the one Dreams in a Witch House.
Yeah, okay, all right. I suppose Dreams in a Witch House had witches, though. I forgot that was the. I just remember the nudity in that one. That's really my whole go-to on Dreams of the Witch House.
The witch does seem kind of extra to that story. Doesn't seem like the central point of it. But yes, masters of the occult were these people, and I do have some Canada spotting for this episode.
Okay, I was actually curious about the Canada spotting here because I'm like, I don't know how easily, since 99% of it is just in this big house.
Please tell me they filmed the X-Men in that mansion.
It is not the X-Men mansion. At first, I did think it was, because the X-Men mansion is in Victoria, BC, and is a school. It is actually a school. It's a post-secondary, and but this was shot in. It took about 30 seconds to find this online, to find the house online, just from the outside view. Through the magic of movies, it is not on a hillside. It is in couldn't be more urban Vancouver. It is just in the heart of Vancouver, which is one of the densest populations in Canada. It's called the Tolk Estate, named after the guy who built it. It is in the heart of Vancouver. They shot it. They actually shot that angle from the backyard. There's houses all around that, and it's a 12-bedroom, 12-bath. And if you're in the market, it is actually currently on sale, which is why it was really easy to find. Currently on sale.
You've done your research, buddy.
I have indeed. That's why it was so easy to find, just because there's a high-end real estate. Vancouver's an expensive city to live to buy real estate in to start. This is listed as one of the most expensive homes in the city, and it is currently on list for $19.9 million.
If you're looking for something a little cheaper, I believe the Christmas Story house is on sale right now as well.
A little cheaper. 19.9 million? Don't get me wrong.
19.9
You could tell
million.
from looking at it, this was quite a property, but
I mean,
19.9
I think if it
million.
was actually on that hillside, it would be.
That's almost what we make in an episode from this podcast.
This is one you can definitely visit this filming location. They might not want you in the backyard though. I'm not aware of whether they shot the interiors at the same house, but I would expect so, given the design, just the air and everything.
I would think so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it could be a soundstage, I suppose, but seems unlikely.
Yeah, it would seem unnecessary. I mean, they haven't built a lot of sets for this series to start, so and it is a 3-story plus basement. I mean, they probably built the basement. That's probably a set, but the stairways and everything would likely be like part of that house. Just makes sense.
The boiler they definitely did have to build, because
yeah, I would expect
no boiler that looks like that.
Yeah, I doubt there's a basement room that looks like that either. I think if you're paying 19.9 million, you sweep. Probably get
Excuse
someone
me.
in for
Jeez. Sorry about the coughs today, folks.
All right.
I recently had COVID, and apparently it's like, hey, you still do. It wants me to know. Anyways, we were saying?
I forget. I think I was about to wrap up the episode. This one's this is like this is a working episode. This is it is also this one I think felt more like an anthology episode. But sometimes we find ourselves referring to them as movies, and this didn't. This did feel like Nick said, it feels like an 8-page creepy. Like it's fairly linear.
Is this our shortest episode yet?
No, I think we got one shorter.
Okay. I'm like, we're wrapping already, but I guess it's true though. There is not much. Here's the thing: this is one of those episodes where when we talk about how you can see the twist coming, but the truth is, in order to talk about this episode in depth, we'd have to give away several twists, several plot.
Yeah,
and it kind of ruins the episode for you to watch if we do so. So I mean, it's really a difficult one to talk about.
Yeah, I
Plus,
think it's.
I mean, again, we're judging the episode. We're not judging because we're not overly familiar with the creators. We're not going into the history on them to as great a degree as either. So I mean, yeah, you're right. It is kind of a difficult episode. Maybe it is time to wrap this mother.
It is the first episode we've encountered that has a real like that we can't really pinpoint any master in the list.
Yeah.
None of the performers are particularly
horror related.
Everyone else is like this could be an episode of any one of a half dozen anthologies rather than part of this series.
I would agree.
So, yeah. Glad that I said it so succinctly that there's nothing more to be said.
Aren't you guys glad you tuned in to be entertained by this episode?
I think
we haven't even talked about flaccid penises or anything. Like
just wasn't that kind of episode. It's also one of the most mainstream. Like there's no real, aside from a little bit of scary, it's you could cut a couple of things and this would be a Goosebumps episode, really.
It's true. It's not.
What like would you have to cut? Actually, there's no nudity in this.
I think probably make it like. Yeah, there's no nudity. There's not even sexual situations. There's not heavy violence.
There's phone conversation to the mother. That's pretty profane.
That's true. You'd have to dial that back a little bit, but
and slightly less tongues on the teenagers at the start.
I don't know. I haven't seen Goosebumps, so.
I like how you said slightly less.
Well, I mean, it wasn't extravagant. It was an uncomfortable scene. So I'm thinking less tongue.
Yeah, you just edit that differently. That's fine. All right. Well, as we will continue on our Masters of Horror journey, the next one we'll be going to is episode 10, entitled Sick Girl. And you can find the Cult Film Showdown on wetalkpodcast.com, the home of the Octagon, which is our currently paused search for the ultimate B movie. And we are also, Cult Film Showdown is on Instagram, and We Talk Podcast, which is our Papa company. They are on Facebook and they are on Twitter. You can also support the Cult Film Showdown on Patreon. Search for us on there, and we have a lot of fun levels that you can join at.
Well, you call them Papa, I call him Daddy. I guess our relationship's closer.
I feel like it's my grandfather rather than. When you're this podcast, they call you Mister. All right. Well, we will talk to you next time.